The future of our workforce isn't just written in boardrooms or factories, but in the universities, classrooms, and various forums, as well as in the minds of education leaders. They are the real visionaries who are pushing the boundaries in terms of creating the right set of talent, skills for the future professionals. In this series, Shaping Tomorrow, we honor them. We speak to various vice chancellors, deans, academic heads, and career services heads to understand how they are reshaping the higher education landscape and creating the future talent workforce. Join us as we uncover how they are transforming higher education to meet the needs of tomorrow, because shaping minds today means shaping the future workforce, one that is ready for the challenges of tomorrow. This is not just a conversation about education. This is a conversation about the future. And in this inaugural series, we cover the Middle East region, starting with the United Arab Emirates. Welcome to Shaping Tomorrow by Board Infinity. So welcome, Dr. Ernesto. It's a great pleasure to have you with us. I think you're one of the very few professors that I have met who have had a cross-country experience, starting off from Italy, then coming all the way to UAE and Abu Dhabi with Khalifa for a long period of time. I think what I find very interesting in your profile is that you've been in the industry and you've been a practitioner, and then you have come to the academia world and trying to tell students how to do better. I think that's one of the key characteristics of an individual in an institution which is trying to move above the benchmarks. So glad to have you here. I think rather than me introducing you a lot, I would love to hear more from you, and our viewers would also love to hear more from you.
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, we are sitting at Khalifa University. Khalifa University is one of the top research universities in the country. And here at the moment, I am playing the role of the Dean of the College of Computing and Mathematical Sciences. And this is a college that includes a number of research centers and departments. And the research centers cover a little bit all that it is now under ICT, from the devices to the networks to the intelligent core, and also to the AI, applied AI, that basically is at the basis of so many applications these days. So basically, inside this college, we have the ICT research on a really wide spectrum, but also with a lot of interdisciplinary opportunities. So this is where I sit at the moment, and I think that we have a lot of potential for contributing to the scientific and technical progress here in the UAE.
Great, awesome. So on that note, I would like to ask you one question before we kind of deep dive into the other pieces. When did you think that you wanted to come into the academia side? I mean, what was the trigger for you? I believe that you started a company in the internet space long back.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, what I like of the academic part is the notion that you can play with ideas, and you can play with ideas with interesting people, including the students, which is very, very important. All companies have their own organizational culture, have their own, structure, the things they do well, the things they do might be a little bit less well. University is always new. And due to the interaction with the colleagues, the interaction with the general public, but I believe that the interaction with the students, and especially the graduate students that bring, is something unique. And you can focus on the ideas that you like. Up to a point, of course, you need to preserve applicability, but certainly you have more freedom of thought in the academia.
Yeah, I think that's a great and a very interesting viewpoint. And one of your research areas is into privacy preserving AI. I think it's been last 2 years has been a whirlwind in terms of the entire set of the world getting to know about AI and the usage of different things which are leading to a lot of mind-blowing kind of ideas as well as applications, and it has permeated across every walk of life as we know it today. Why specifically privacy preserving AI, and what was your thinking around this whole piece, and how do you see this evolving over a period of time?
For me, it's crucial. The notion that we are in a society in which decisions have been increasingly made by algorithms and automatically made. And if you think any decision about yourself, even you are admitted or not to a school, you are getting or no a loan from a bank, you can start a mortgage. A number of decisions that sort of concern people are taken automatically by algorithms. And this is already something that I was very curious about, because of course, in a sense, we are delegating to the algorithms this decision-making capability. But even more, since the AI, how can I say, the AI mass deployment started, we are delegating the decisions to systems that learn from experience. They learn from training. So it's not an algorithm which we can discuss.
Right.
Is it fair, not fair? Is it safe to use, not safe? We can discuss an algorithm for a long time. But a model which is trained and has learned from examples, well, it's very, very, very difficult to discuss it. We needed to make sure that the training, the feeding the model with the data of people, we are not in the end having side effects. First of all, on the people privacy, as I said, you are giving the model to an algorithm is one thing. If you're giving your data to a model, to an AI model, the model will basically be modified by your data. And so in a sense will carry part of the knowledge about you, the model itself. We needed to make sure that this is under our control. Right. And unfortunately, if you see a lot of the platforms that we use on the internet every day, they are asking us permission to use our activity, our material, our input, in order to train their model. And we say yes, we click fine because we want to use the platform, because the platform is doing something useful for us, and then we forget about it. And this is dangerous. So I think really that academia has a role to be the conscience of society, because of course we cannot push people to keep this in mind. It's normal that they want to use the technology, but the academia must keep their eyes open and be able to interact with the government, with the authorities, to tell them what is the hidden cost of this technology, which is the information sharing. We need to keep it under. So this is why I'm passionate about privacy preserving AI. I think it's the best AI. It's not AI crippled. It is the good AI, right. The AI we all want. And we want it to work well, but we want it to work well with our supervision and control, with the human.
Great. And I think that's a very interesting thought, because we created the system, so it's better that the control is also with us versus giving over the entire control to the system in itself. But the other point of view is that why can't systems get smarter and smarter over a period of time? And can AI create more intelligent AI systems? So that viewpoint also has permeated a lot into the every nook and corner, even in companies, or people say that we are at the level 2 of AI. In level 5 is about humans can sit back, relax, and AIs will keep on doing things which we are supposed to do. So,
well, this is a very interesting perspective, and of course, it holds part of the truth, but not, I believe, not entirely, because there is this point that we are using AI to help us to do stuff and to produce. Of course, doing stuff meaning to produce information. Even if the AI helps us to produce an object, in the end, that object can be measured. So there is information that comes out of the human and the AI collaboration. And this is also even more true when the AI is helping us to write a book, or to write a letter, or to produce an application of a document. There's a collaboration, we are producing information. Now, this information is fed back to AI. The problem is that in order to improve, AI must be fed with good material. Now it's eating what itself has produced. So it's very important that the AI productivity, the AI capability of improving is linked to the new content. So the humans must be there. If the humans are no longer there, we will get just, this type of self-reference. Self-referential AI, this is, quote me on this, is my opinion. Of course, there are colleagues who think it differently, but self-referential AI will not be able to achieve the full potential. The humans must still be there to help the AI to produce valuable material from which the AI itself can learn from in the next round. Right. This is my point, and I think hope we go in this direction.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting viewpoint there in itself. So I want to cover a little bit around the industry and academia interfaces that you have built through over the last 1-2 decades, I believe. And I think you've done a lot of large-scale research projects which are more international and getting in good companies like Cisco, Siemens, etc.
Now, one of the things which I have seen in academia world is this industry academia collaboration is more of a afterthought rather than a forethought, and I think you pioneered a lot of work in this space. Now, uh, you know, how do you think academia and industry can do this much better? Are there some approaches, steps that you think that every university, no matter how big, small, how much resources that they have, that they can go about doing this thing? Do you have some recommendations for that?
My main recommendation is co-location, which doesn't have to be physical location, but co-location means having a joint, a shared environment. A shared environment where we can work, where we can sit together. Of course, the company, they have different goals than in the academic. But there is an intersection, and even more, if you reach your goal, you then can help me reach mine. So this is a very important thing. But in order to do that, we need to understand each other's goals. So the little success that I had in building this collaboration is always based on goal sharing and
Very
co-location of the work. We need to sit together. We need to have coffee in the same cafeteria. So if you just meet once per month in some stuffy meeting, it will not work. And many companies realized that and allow continuous interchange. So the company people come when they want to come, and they invite over the professors or the graduate students when it's useful that they do it. So we create framework agreements in which we leave the freedom of the individuals to do this type of exchanges, to talk to each other. I think this is creating the shared goal space is the most important thing. Otherwise, we may sort of have a wrong image of what the other part needs, and we will end up not delivering what the other part expects.
Okay, I think that's a great viewpoint. I think the core points that you mentioned around co-location and shared goals, I think it kind of beautifully summarizes how we can go about doing that. I think it's always point of view that people bring in that, you become very transactional in dealing with the industry rather than that have joint goals. And I think that's a beautiful way of actually looking at it. And I'm sure that's why you've been successful in bringing a lot of these collaborations. So you have certain interesting research work around cyber physical system security. Honestly, even for me, that was a slightly deep topic to understand. Peripherally, we know what it is, but could you just give an explanation around what these things and how important it is and why people should know about it?
Well, a cyber physical system is a system in which you have some cyber part and some physical part. And we all live in a cyber physical world at the moment, because the cyber part is interconnected. It's not a separate world, it's the two worlds that come together. So the notion is that, of course, in many cases, it happens that any misbehavior will try to go in the least resistance. So if you wanted to make the cyber physical system a safe environment for all, and this is very important, it's one of the strategy, the safe deployment of technology, the safe cyber physical system society. If you wanted to achieve that, you need to sort of be particularly vigilant at the interface, where the cyber and the physical mix up. And this is something that happens all the time. So it's not just cybersecurity, it's the security of the integration of the physical system and the cyber one. So we are looking especially at the point of contacts to make sure that it's not the point of contact. So, for example, if you have a camera that is looking into a yard and you want to identify people that pass by, well, of course, you can attack the camera by injecting some virus on the controlling software through the network, if the camera is connected. But another way would be just, to create some fake object that the camera will mistakenly identify, and that is a physical object. So the system is not being attacked from the cyber point of view, but it is being fooled using the physical to cyber interface of the camera or the system eyes. Right. And this can happen all the time. So you need to make sure that any security property is point to point, from the physical body of the user to the physical body of the other interlocutor. You cannot just guarantee the cyber part and then leave the physical. You cannot just put a policeman in the physical world and then leave the cyber open. So the notion is that we need to integrate, and the cyber physical system security is about this, guaranteeing the safety point to point, end to end, in the physical world and in the cyber at the same time.
Interesting. The other piece which I wanted to speak to you about is I think everyone knows about machine learning, data analytics. I think you have done again a lot of research work around this space. Tell me one or two emerging trends which you think are shaping up as we speak, which people are not aware about, and where do you think that it is going to head into?
Well, I think people are getting aware that the AI has changed once more.
Mm-hmm.
I was a witness in the around 2010 when the AI changed from the traditional learners to the new generation of learners that could really learn to do complex things. For example, face recognition. It was a problem that was solutions were available already in the 90s, but they were not very good. So they would sort of mistake you. You could easily modify, you wear some occlusion in order, and you wouldn't get recognized. Then with the 2010 revolution, we got learners that were robust. They could generalize very well.
Yeah.
Generalize meant that they would recognize you, no matter what was the strange conditions you created at runtime. Based on a training that was different, of course, they could still do it. And I don't want to enter into the technical details, but some guy got the Nobel Prize for it recently.
Yeah.
So in a sense, we have to thank the generation of scientists that actually delivered that. More recently, we have another change, which is the change of basically the large language models. In the large language models, you are not doing direct classification of like in the traditional AI, but you are relying on a training on documents to provide advice to people. This is the advice can be actionable advice. And very soon we are seeing models that will produce physical objects. So I can describe an object to an LLM, and the LLM will say, okay, is this good? And will show me an object printed with a 3D printer.
Right.
So this is making the advice actionable. Now, this is to me a frontier, but it's a dangerous one.
Okay.
Because this is the moment in which the advice will be actionable, is also the moment where the LLM becomes vulnerable and can make a lot of damage.
Right.
You can imagine that if I can interfere either at the training phase or at the interaction phase, and in that, sorry, I am a security person, so from this point of view, I applaud to the potential of having these other entities with us that will help us to make our dreams come true just by describing the dream, and the object will do. Not just
very
advise you how to do,
very
but will do for you. On the other hand, this is very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
Because in the moment that you delegate the guy to print with a 3D printer a certain object, in the end, the interference can really make a damage in the physical world. Again, we are back to the cyber-physical situation. So this is the moment in which I think we need to focus our attention. Safe LLM inference, safe actionable advice. This is a new topic that we need all to make sure. Again, a safe model will give you more value. Will, as a company, from the company point of view, will earn more money. So it's not crippling. It is making it more valuable, even from a business point of view, because you don't want to be on the side of the model if the model does something wrong.
Correct.
You will be liable.
Yeah. Right.
They can't sue the model.
Yeah.
They will sue you. Anyway, they will sue the human.
So I think those were the questions around your research, etc. I think one of the other things which we would really like to understand is around how do you measure the success of your academic programs? Are there any standardized templates that you use, especially with respect to student engagement outcomes? I mean, what is it that you look at in terms of measurement? Well,
let me tell you my opinion. I mean, we need to have some quantitative framework,
right?
But we must be very careful because quantitative scales are not a guarantee that the results are comparable.
Right.
So it's good if you use the quantitative, and we use it a lot. I use it a lot, always, even in the evaluation, whether, for example, the engagement, our dropouts numbers, how many people succeed in doing this thing in time, what is the outcome. Statistics, you don't want inflation, but you also don't want everybody just... So all these, I can say this of Khalifa, but generally speaking, it's also my personal opinion that we need quantitative assessment. And a lot of people are working on AI for managing the educational system, by the way. So we could make all the discussions that we did until now. But the important part is that we must remember, though, that these quantitative measures and indexes, since they measure the outcome of human activity, you shouldn't confuse them with measures in the physical world. They don't have the mathematical properties, and so you can compare yourself, but you shouldn't use that to compare it with someone else. Unless you really can control the context of the comparison.
Yeah. So I think that's a very interesting viewpoint, right? And students today, if they benchmark themselves and start working on their skills, I think that'll be a much more fruitful journey versus trying to compare with someone else who might have some other abilities. So I think that's something that everyone currently faces through. So great. I think we have covered almost all the questions. Tell us something fun about you. What do you do during your, let's say, winding down times?
What can I say? I like anyway learning new things. Mm-hmm. So I like learning new things anyway, and they're not necessarily about science or technology. Okay. So I am fond of a number of any experience, including the experiences of having a long walk or a run in a nice setting. And there was always a moment in. So I do a lot of this physical activity. For example, I advise everybody who does a sedentary work. Work out when you can. It will also improve your mood. So this is so I try to do a little bit of that, and I like, as I said, I'm curious about ideas in other areas. I don't want to be just ICT person. I like to read and to get experiences from other areas of the.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is very Italian, by the way.
Yeah, and coming to think about that, right? Italy is known for pizzas, coffee. What brand of coffee do you like?
Oh well, this is good. Everybody in Italy has. In my, the Lavazza is the traditional family coffee in Italy, and my grandmother, she would make a Lavazza with the mocha machine. So I can still say that there are many others which are as good. I don't want now to make an advertisement, but this is the family coffee that you used to buy in Italy, and I find it around, and I'm still using that one.
Great, awesome. I think this has been a great conversation.
Same
Dr.
here.
Ernesto, we thoroughly enjoyed your viewpoints, what you've done in research, you as a person, what you have shared about Khalifa University. I think as a closing note, is there any message you would like to pass on to the academic world around, how they can do better, or, how they can improve the way they function? I think that will be a great parting message, and then we can close out.
Well, I don't want now to sound, it's very difficult to give advice, especially to my colleagues in this profession, because professors, all of them, including myself, they believe they are already at the top and they don't need any advice. Yeah. I think that what we can do is we need to preserve and to redevelop the language and the time for interacting with our students. I remember my supervisor could spend an afternoon with me.
Wow.
And that was already because the system allowed this and even encouraged this type of this. So in many cases, that afternoon could have been wasted. Sometimes the student, but also it gave a lot of opportunity to really, express the potential. So I think that my advice is not an advice, an encouragement to the colleagues to fight to find the time. I am the first to which this advice should apply, but because I not always, but it's very important that we recreated the generational interchange that was true for our generation, for the previous generations. We need the young people and to on board soon, and I think the university system should sort of strive to achieve that, to empower the students, especially. I don't want to be partial to the graduate students, but the graduate students actually are my passion in the sense that they really can make you see things from another angle, but you need to give them time. And this is time is what
great, awesome. Have. So, Dr. Ernesto, Shaping Tomorrow by Board Infinity is our way of contributing back to the ecosystem by bringing in educators, having conversations with them, and sharing it to the outside world. We are very glad to have you as part of that. And Specifically, there's a lot of great work happening in the Middle East and North Africa region, and we have been trying to understand viewpoints of educators across the spectrum, right from promoters, academicians like you, career services head, and I'm sure whatever you have communicated today is of use for the audience. And thank you so much for your time.
I certainly hope so, and I enjoyed the talk.